Welcome to the behind the scenes of the Underdogs.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Underdogs behind the scenes, where Sofi is one of the stars of the show. And this was inspired by three little doggies I was taking care of. Sofi, say hi. All right, so we're gonna put Sofi down, and we're gonna start at the beginning. So, in the beginning, there was three little doggies. There's Sofi, and there's her brother Odin. I watch him here and there. And then there's Lotus, little baby Lotus. I miss the guy. He's back with his parents now. But I was watching him and I was thinking, man, maybe I could bring him into Alaska. And then, that kind of worked a little bit. And then, I started experimenting with them pulling a boy in a sled. And then I uploaded more pictures of the doggies and trying to, create a profile of them. And you know what? It started getting better and better. And then I was like, can you make me a title? And I was going to call it the Underdogs, because I had this whole idea that they're half huskies. So the bigger huskies would kind of laugh at them, and and then they kind of come back and save the day. And then after this one generated, I was like, wow, this is getting pretty good. And so I tried to get it even closer, to Odin, and then the fourth doggy came out of nowhere. I was like, okay, let's take a step back. And basically I just kept iterating on this until I landed about here. And the names are kind of wrong, but it started giving me some hope. And then I finally stopped at this image right here, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. And then there's kind of the other character in the back there, and I paused for a couple days. So then I went back into GPT and I kind of started over, and I uploaded a couple more pictures of the doggies and seeing maybe I'd get a different result. And then I started describing them a little bit more, and I was trying to think, is 3 dogs enough? Should I do more? But then the more dogs you do, the harder it is to get them consistently in it. And then I created some visual cues for each dog, and then I kind of just went along the way. Started to basically come back and give them character roles and direction, and really start to understand how they would be on camera. So Odin was the body, Sofi was the soul, and Lotus was the spirit. And I thought that was really cute. And so my first scene that I had in mind, which didn't make a cut, but I had this whole scene where they were kind of coming into town, 3 little doggies and this little boy. And as they came into town, all the other mushers are kind of getting ready. And all the other teams started laughing at them, who is this little kid? They're never going to make it. And I really wanted that scene to work. I tried a bunch of different things, and it didn't work. So I just kind of kept on building. And then I wanted this one scene. The first scene that you actually see is that's that little dot in the back. That's them. And I wanted them to kind of come into the foreground. And so this was the image that I created for that, which did end up working out. And I'll show you that in Runway, but I'm going to take it one platform at a time. So this is all my GPT prompts. I started testing with some scenes and experimenting with some voiceovers. And a lot of this was really good, and it kind of was just the inspiration to the film. And then when that created this image right here, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Odin's got 2 different color eyes, just like he does in real life. And then there's a little boy in the back being pulled. And this kind of was when I really thought it was wow, this is maybe possible to make this film. So I kept experimenting with different scenes. I kept, generating new images, trying to kind of see what I could do. How could I push the limits of image generation? How can I make it look like the same style? So I had this image here, and I was like, all right, I got this scene. How can I make this log cabin, a similar style. And so I experimented with that a little bit, and trying to get the dogs inside the house. And then, I basically just kept on testing over and over. I got this great image of a grandfather kind of cooking, which actually made the cut. And then I brought this into Runway and used the Dialog app. I'll show you that in a second. And and then I just kept experimenting. Like, how can I get this boy to, open the door and reveal the grandpa? And this was like the first boy that I had, but then I was like, man, it's kind of not working out. I tried a bunch of different platforms. I really wanted to see how could I make this very consistent and make it look like it was something real. And then I was like, you know what, maybe I should just be the boy. So in Midjourney, I uploaded my image of when I was a kid, and it gave me this image. And I was like, wow, that looks just like me as a kid. Let me see if I could get some dialogue going and get him to interact with the grandpa that I already generated.
Grandpa! Grandpa!
Is that you, son? Dinner's almost ready.
Grandpa, the Northern Lights race is a few weeks away, and I'm signing up.
No, I won't allow it. Did you forget what happened to your father? That's enough.
So most of this scene was done within, it was a mix of Google VO3 and Runway. So I experimented with a bunch of different things. So this is my VO3. I started this October 23rd. So I literally only spent maybe like 4 or 5 days on this project in total. And just trying to see, like, could it give me a little bit of a different result than Runway. But what I realized is it was too probabilistic, and it didn't really give me kind of what I wanted. However, this scene of the boy coming into the cabin worked out really well. Not kind of like first generation, and I was like, no, that's not working. And then by like the 5th or 6th generation, I think I got it. I think I ended up going with this one right here. No idea. But I do like it. Let's see here. But yeah, I experimented a lot. Like, this is him coming out.
Grandpa!
But, it was like, there's some errors in there. And
Grandpa! Grandpa!
Yeah, but then inside, like, why is he yelling out,
Grandpa!
I spent probably 30 minutes.
Grandpa!
I like that scene, but I think it was, this one.
Grandpa! Grandpa!
Since he cut to the door, the door kind of opens weird, so I cut to his hand opening the door. So then I jumped over to Runway, and I'm gonna kind of fast forward. So I was jumping back and forth, but like just trying to fulfill the timeline and just trying to match the voiceover that I had that I created in 11 Labs. Shout out to 11 Labs. I found Grandpa Spuds Oakley, and literally probably on the first generation, it was almost perfect. And so here's the beginning of the script.
This isn't just an ordinary story. This is the story of a boy who dreamed of racing across the frozen north, when the world told him he was too small, too young, and too late. He didn't have 12 dogs or sponsors or fame, just 3 little Pomskies and a handful of heart wrapped in.
So I did end up generating a bunch of different versions of this and just trying to get the pronunciation right and the cadence and stuff. And sometimes what I did might be really helpful for some people is, instead of generating like the entire a script, maybe just generate like a small piece, like maybe just kind of like take this section and replace it, and or maybe just like this one sentence and try to generate it a couple times and see if you could get the cadence right. But I was pretty satisfied with it, and it became the foundation for everything else that happened. Moving into the music, that was also a really fun story. So I was, if you can see, I have the piano in the back, and I was kind of just like noodling on some notes, and basically the second generation that I had recorded turned into this. The dogs over the horizon. This is like exactly what I wanted. And my prompt was something like, let me see, something like orchestral. I don't know why it's not coming up here. Oh, it was a orchestral piece, slow tempo, dramatic, melancholy mood, instrumentation, prominent strings, violas and cellos. So let me see the full style. Yeah, and I think I used GPT to help me kind of like create this prompt. But after I played a few notes on my piano and kind of like got it going, it almost on the second take, it was almost perfect. I mean, I did generate a lot of these, but the first one was awesome. And then I experimented with a few things, but I like the original generation the best. So I had the script, I had the music, I had some bits and pieces on my timeline. And so, you know, what was next? I guess I got into a few blocks here and there. I will share my screen again. So yeah, I got into a few blocks. I would say this dialogue section actually was like easier than I thought it was going to be. And once I kind of got that, I took a pause there for a few days, and then I came back. Okay, he's on the race. He's done using it now. And now, how can I get the same scene that I had earlier, but now with the kid and with the doggies? And so I got the 3 doggies. I wasn't like super happy with the character consistency of it, but I really just liked the scene so much that I just left it.
I don't care what anyone says. We are entering the race. Hike!
You know, the magical trail, and then I generated this map. I did bring this map into, so this is actually a real map of like the Serum race, but then I kind of like threw a little bit of Northern Lights on it and stuff. So I took it into Premiere, or excuse me, Photoshop, kind of made some of it, and then I put this into VO3, and I wasn't like, you know, 10 out of 10 satisfied with it, but I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then this is one of the blizzard shots, you know, through. And then this is one of my favorite scenes.
When dawn broke over the white horizon, the race of their lives had already begun.
So this is one of the few scenes I used Sora because I had really good consistency with the text here. And let me actually, I should have rendered all of this. Let me render this and kind of show you something else. Because the audio is not coming in. Let's see how fast this goes. So yeah, just behind the scenes, like I'm not using like the latest technology here. Like this is my really old MacBook Pro. It's 2019. It's still using an i9 processor, 32 gigs of RAM. So the cool thing about so I come from a filmmaking background, and it takes a lot of data to film high quality. Like you'll leave, a day shoot with a terabyte of content, and so it's really hard to work with, very heavy. But when you're generating these clips with AI, maybe the file size is 15, 20, 30 megabytes per clip, and so it's far more manageable and easier to work with than actual film footage. And so yeah, if I try to do this in real life, I'd probably have like terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of content. And so, to be able to process that on just like a small MacBook is pretty much like almost impossible. As you can see, my disk space is already running low. Hopefully I have enough to finish this video. So we're going to go back to where we were the start of the race. This is also a really hard scene to generate because it's hard to generate guns in certain programs and stuff. So I had to create an image of this in Photoshop and then turn it image to video. This is another sort of scene I really love. There's a bit of inconsistency with like the dogs. How cinematic it's race.
Welcome to the Northern Lights Invitational, the 30th annual sled challenge here in the heart of Alaska. Mushers are making their final checks. The teams are restless, ready to run.
The race had begun. Some had 10 dogs, but not Niko. His team was smaller, lighter, and faster than anyone expected. Together, they moved as one, not through brute force, but through spirit. It turned from day to night. The sky came alive with color: emerald, violet, blue, the northern lights. Nature's way of reminding us how small we really are.
I made this in Midjourney and then kind of like stitched together, like the last frame of the former clip became the next frame in the next clip. And so this scene actually is about, like, let's say it starts here, 7:07. Like this is a pretty long clip. It's like about I don't know, 20 seconds long or something like that. But it's one of my favorite clips of it. Also, this clip is one of my favorites because it's like a clip that I generated like a few different times. So this was like the first scene, and then like I had the first and the last frame, and that's kind of how. And I think I actually reversed the clip. I think it started with kind of them far away, and then it came really close. But it's one of my favorite scenes. Okay, now to. Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite scenes too. I would say this is probably the closest that I got to making the dogs exactly how they are. Like, look at Sofi. Sofi literally looks exactly like Sofi down here. And then I was like, you know what? This is an action adventure like movie. Like, let me get a really cool avalanche scene. Like, how can I make this like Michael Bay, you know? And so this was my attempt. I also really like how the boy turned out here. Got a running avalanche, got rap music, the falling. So originally my idea was to have him kind of like sledding and the dogs moving and stuff, but it was just too complicated. It was just too hard. And so I kind of settled with him like running away from the avalanche. And then it kind of just stops here, and it's kind of like a cliffhanger and to be continued. But what I'm thinking about next is if I continue this project, I want him to wake up in the snow and start yelling for his dogs, like Odin, Sofi, Lotus, and he's like walking around, like trying to find them, and like one by one he finds them. But then earlier when he was talking to his grandpa, he said, "I've been training my whole life for this," and so that kind of creates the foundation for him to start over from scratch, create a new sled from wood, fish salmon in the river, and maybe one of the doggies is hurt and he's mending them, and and basically it's kind of like that recovery story, like how could it get any worse from here, and then being able to revive the doggies, come in, maybe even like save the day, maybe he saves another sled dog participant from the avalanche or something else that happens, and now that the dogs that laughed at him in the beginning of the race are now happy and thankful that this little boy and his 3 underdogs entered the race. So thank y'all so much. This was really fun. The last thing I'll do is I'll just show you the final runway session that I had. So if you can see here, like we're on like 48. I'm just gonna like scroll down, keep going, because there's like literally 200 different variations and clips, and like I tried things multiple times and from multiple angles, and upscaling, downscaling, different angles, using a delf to kind of generate different angles of the scene. So like using 2 images and then generating different angles of the race and then animating those. So yeah, I mean, I pretty much tried everything, and then let's just scroll all the way to the end. So yeah, the last thing that I did use VO3 for most of the avalanche scenes, but then I did try a bunch of things within Runway. I would say Runway wasn't great at the avalanche stuff, and after that, honestly, I was pretty exhausted. But yeah, I tried a lot of different things. This scene didn't make it, but this would be like him like waking up, maybe saying something like, maybe grandpa was right, and like, why would he be running towards the avalanche here? No idea. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. Let me allow Sofi to say bye one more time. Sofi, did you like your treat? Did you like your movie? Are you a star now? So my main goal is to maybe have Chewy reach out, and they say they love the Underdogs film so much that Sofi is going to be a Chewy model for them, right? Right, little doggy? Oh. And so thank you so much to the Chroma Awards. Thank you so much to everybody who, all the platforms out there. Shout out 11 Labs for the amazing audio, the voiceovers, and some of the sound effects. Suno, thank you for helping me generate the orchestration behind the little piano melody I laid down. Thank you, Runway, for just being amazing and expanding my creativity. And I always wanted to be an actor as a kid, and the fact that I could take my younger self and cast them into this was really fun and unique for me. Thank you, VO3, for the avalanche scene. It was really good. I'm really looking forward to what you guys do next. And then also thank you to the Chroma Awards, and thanks to all the judges and everybody out there. Hope you had fun, and I'll see you on the next one.